Hello guys, we're joined here by wrestling superstar Mr. Doug Williams. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you? You
Good,
alright?
thank you very much.
Good.
What an incredible show out there, but
Yeah.
what made you turn on your partner tonight?
Well, he was just being an idiot, dancing around, disrespecting my tune. He wasn't serious about the match, so I had enough of him,
So you went out there and you kind of ruined his chances of winning the championship.
Never mind, I'm sure he'll get another one. He ruined my chances, that's how I see it.
Now, obviously tonight you got to wrestle in front of a crowd in the Southwest, and they're very loud and very vocal.
Yeah.
What's it like performing in front? Because obviously you've done a big show, so
Sure.
this is kind of an intimate show as well. It had 1,000
Yeah.
people here. Do you enjoy the smaller shows as well as the arena shows?
I think so, yeah. I say this a lot, but over a certain amount of people, it just becomes a blur, it just becomes a noise really. Because at the end of the day, all you can see is probably the first 10 rows anyway, and interact with them at a live show anyway. But this for an independent wrestling show, this is a big crowd, and there's a lot of noise there. It's always great you can get that reaction out of people. It makes you want to work that much harder. Not that I work that hard tonight, but but yeah, it's fantastic. Really. I mean, to see the scene like this as well. Go all over the country and there's shows where people are, they're drawing 1,800 people. It's great.
So obviously you've wrestled for big companies, but for you, when did you get your big break? When did that kind of for you? You thought I've made this.
I think probably 2002 was the first time I went to Japan for a major company. I'd worked for Ring of Honor before that, but that was in the first years that they were started. You know what I mean? So they were smaller, but they got me good exposure. But yeah, definitely in Japan. 2002 was my first big break, I'd say. Just went from there really.
And in Japan, wrestling's it's huge. It's a big phenomenon, and obviously some of the best talent wrestles there. So what was it like to wrestle somewhere where it's notorious for producing great matches, great superstars?
Well, I mean, that was always my aim anyway. When I really started being a wrestler, was always to go to Japan. Obviously, it was a fantastic honour for me, and I wrestled some of the hugest names in Japanese wrestling, Kabashi and Misawa. It was, for me, it was a dream, and that was the pinnacle for me. Of my career, because that's what I always wanted to do, and the fact that I got 7 years out of it as well, and over 40 tours, was just fantastic,
And it's you get different kind of wrestlers. You get some who just want to go to WWE, be huge, but obviously it comes across like wrestling is a great passion of yours. Obviously you had goals, you had to go to Japan, so for you, obviously when you were growing up, did you look up to someone? Was there somebody that kind of inspired you?
Well, I mean, I grew up as a WWF fan, from the 80s, and I watched, Saturday Night Main Events and the WrestleManias, the really old ones, and the guys that I liked the best there were like what I call the wrestling heels, like Ted DiBiase or your Randy Savages, the guys that could move around and wrestle, but were a little bit nasty with it as well, and they were my favourites. I think those are the ones that kind of inspired me, and obviously as I started wrestling and trained to be a wrestler, becoming a wrestler, I discovered Japanese wrestling. I just thought from my personal point of view, it suited me better, because I was not quite so showy as the Americans and so over the top, But yeah, in the early days, those are the guys that kind of inspired me really.
So going into TNA, obviously, you had a great time there.
Yeah.
How did that all come about? You wrestling for them?
They were looking to get some British guys on board, so they called me up and asked me if I wanted to come over and work for them.
So how did you feel getting that call? That must be kind of
Well, I'll tell you something, because as I said, my goal was always to be in Japan, but for me it was like, well, I can try doing this. It's different, it's a different style of wrestling, it's American wrestling. I did grow up as a fan, I'm very familiar with it, wrestled Americans all over the world before that point. I'll give it a shot, and I was really, really happy that they asked me, and that I managed to make at least a couple of good years out of it, and win some belts and get myself over as a character, which I wrote. I don't really think people thought that I could do that or cut promos or do any of that kind of stuff before, because I never really had opportunity to do it.
You've done it tonight, definitely.
Yeah, as well, you know what I mean? It's just, I know, and I've studied it, and obviously worked that stuff on small shows here and that and everywhere, but no one sees you do it on a grand scale. They think, oh, Doug's just a technical wrestler. But TNA really give me an opportunity to show different sides to me and my abilities within wrestling as a whole.
But as a British listener, someone who watches wrestling, to see someone British making such a big impact in the wrestling world was incredible, and you've done amazing. And it's good to see you at these shows, the fact that people get to meet you, have photos with you and stuff like that. But for you, obviously you've wrestled the likes of Samoa Joe and stuff like that. How do you think he's getting on in NXT?
Fantastic. It's rejuvenated his career, and I'm really, he was one of my best and oldest friends from the US side of wrestling. And I just think it's great. You know, he is doing what he always should have done in TNA, as far as I'm concerned, and he's making a fantastic job. And long may it continue for him. I'm really, I'm over the moon for him.
I'm not sure if it's true or not, but did you wrestle and beat Eddie Guerrero?
Yeah, and if you
that
watch,
is incredible.
Have you looked on YouTube? The match is on there. 2002, Crystal Palace.
How did that feel? Because I mean, he is
I was nervous as hell. And if you watch the match, you can probably see that I'm nervous as hell. To be honest with you, but yeah, it was a huge moment for me, and it obviously helped in my career and obviously getting my name out there. People still watch and text me, you know, send me messages, tweet me, and say, "Oh, what just saw your match with Eddie." So yeah, it's on YouTube. Just look it up and find it. It's easy.
For you, what would you say your big career highlight is? Is there something that stands out and you just think, "Wow, you know, I'll never forget that moment till the day I die"? Is it one moment?
Well, there's a couple of moments. The first time was I wrestled in Japan in the Budokan Hall, which is a famous wrestling venue, 18,000 people. That was amazing. The second time is probably winning the X Division title in TNA and them allowing me to run for it for nearly a year, doing the anti-X Division unit. That's probably the pinnacle really of my career. You know, those two moments. One is a personal thing. The other one was is a business thing. This is, you know, I've got to where I am, despite what people thought about me and what I could do. So that was good.
And if people kind of who want to be a wrestler and are looking to get into that industry, what advice would you give them?
Get a solid groundwork in conditioning and getting in shape. And you don't have to, it's not so much an aesthetic. It's not so much an aesthetic thing anymore. It's more a kind of being conditioned and being able to do all the stuff that they need you to do. And then just get the basics down, get the groundwork down, you know, just get the holds down, bumping, selling, the easy stuff before you start doing flips.
Do you think I could be a wrestler if I got the belt?
Yeah, you got the tag,
skinny and
scrawny. You might, you know, someone might snap you in half, but you'd be alright otherwise.
So what's next for you now? Because I know you're doing a couple of shows with Pride, and so have you got anything else coming up that you can tell us about?
I've got Paynton, I think, on the 10th of July, and I'm back in Plymouth, Fulham in September 4th, I think. And I've got shows all around the country, really. I mean, I'd advise people to follow Twitter. I'm Doug Williams UK is my handle. I always put all my dates up there, my schedule, and I've got 2 or 3 shows every single weekend around the country. But next weekend I'm in Germany.
Wow.
So I go abroad as well, but Germany's about as far as I go now, and France, and just stay in Europe really.
It's been an absolute pleasure getting to talk to you. And thank you so much for responding to the message as well. Okay. No, watching you wrestle tonight, it was good, but I didn't expect you. Obviously, you went in there, the crowd were cheering, you knocked off Danny, and then they booed you coming out.
I know. You'll have to come to Paynton and watch
what goes on next.
Watch the rebound match in Paynton. You know?
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
I used to press that right.